Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Blues Deluxe, and today it's my honor and pleasure to have Rick Estrin with me from the Nightcaps. How are you, Rick?
Oh, I'm good, John. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to have you.
Great to be here, man. For real.
And I've been a fan all these years. I've been playing, Alligator Records since 1980, 79, 80, that period. And I'm still doing it. And actually, just so I don't know if you saw in my email, I won the KBA in 2023.
That's great, man. And I understand why, because you've been doing this a long time, man, consistently helping, helping
Support
us
you
along.
guys, supporting you guys that are
Yeah,
out there.
we appreciate it. I know I do.
So let's go back to when you started with Little Charlie back in was it 76? You and
70,
Charlie?
76. Yeah, that's when we started playing together.
And Charlie retired in 2008, somewhere in there,
Yep. To
2007.
the end of 2007.
Now
Yeah.
here's something I didn't know. I thought it was the same band when you took over because you were the lead singer in the whole thing.
Right,
And
right.
I thought it was just continuing, but you brought Kid Andersen on and a couple other guys, and that's when it became Rick Estrin, correct?
Well, the no, the actually the uh in the beginning it was Kid Anderson because the guitar player left, so we had to get a guitar player.
Yep.
So and truthfully, I um I didn't know what I was gonna do because little Charlie was pretty special, a pretty unique
Yep.
player, and I didn't want to get I didn't want to carry on with just a diminished version of Little Charlie and the Nightcaps. So I knew I had to get somebody that was special and different than that, which different than that wouldn't be hard because he was one of a kind, but Little Charlie was. But I knew I had to get somebody that was pretty spectacular in their own right. And but the other two guys were the band from were
Charlie's
the other
Nightcats.
Nightcats. Yeah,
Right.
they were the they were the rest of the band. That was the drummer was Jay Hansen and Lorenzo Farrell.
Yep.
At that time, he played bass. After I don't know, I'm not sure exactly when. Maybe about 2010 or 2011, 2012. I can't remember, but he transitioned into playing organ.
Wow.
You know, first he played a little half and half, and then he just kept, just started playing organ and electric piano and stuff like that. And he's still the covers the bass frequencies, but he doesn't play a Fender bass or an upright bass anymore.
Wow.
But
So
so he's been with me like 20 years
so
or
what was it
more.
like to take over after Charlie decided to retire? You weren't technically running the band. His name
Mm-mm.
was on top was the band, but all of a sudden he goes, I got to I'm thinking about retiring. What did you think then? What did you want to do?
Well, he had been saying that for years. So I never after a while I didn't even take it seriously. And then the last time he said it and then he started telling other people and people would come up to me and go, "Hey, what are you going to do?" And that's when I thought, "Wow, man, maybe he really means it this time." So I asked him and he said, "Yeah, he really was going to do it." And so I really didn't know what to do. I there was a couple of things I knew I had to do, and I did them. Uh, which was I made a kind of a do it yourself because I wasn't signed to Alligator. I was under contract to Alligator. Charlie and I were both on the contract on the record contract, but just me without him or me without that band. Um, you know, I mean, we went right back to him, but I didn't have a contract, so I made I made a like a do it yourself kind of CD uh, with some covers of other people's stuff and some stuff I just made up, improvised things, and also resurrected a few old Nightcaps tunes, songs that I had written a long time ago, and I made that CD, and I made also a harmonica instructional DVD, which
Yeah.
was really unique. I don't know if you ever saw it, but
I
it
haven't
was
seen it, but I know about it,
it.
and I was going to ask you about it.
Yeah, man, it was. I mean, I gotta say, it's pretty good. And it was a good. I know DVDs are a thing of the past, but that thing was good for me. Anyway, um, so because I did those things because I knew I needed to educate people as to what my name is, because for decades people would just go, "Hey, Charlie," I'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Because I was the front person.
Yep.
Um, but
Well, that leads me to another question that you said
okay,
that. That leads me to another question. Now that
okay.
you're saying you both weren't on the contract, how did you
No,
end up
we both were on the
were?
contract, but
But
not individually.
right.
Like little Charlie wasn't signed to it either by himself. We
Just the
were
band
sort of a
itself, right? Little
we were
Charlie
sort
and the
well.
Night.
It was just he and I.
Yep.
We were signed that way. We could get whoever, because different people came and went. Some people were with us 10 years. Some people were with us a year. So
So how did that here's the question. How did that end up with Alligator after Charlie decided to walk away and you were going to call yourself Rick Estrin and the Nightcats? How,
yeah. And how did we get back on Alligator?
yeah.
Well, I mean, I was in touch with Bruce the whole time. I mean, uh, he helped me through it. Really, he helped me transition. I was lost. I didn't have a booking agent. He helped me get a booking agent. This is before he re-signed me, so he was a huge help to me. I mean,
Well, I can tell you,
really
us out here,
appreciate his support, man.
us, us out here didn't know there was even a transition like that, that you had to go through that.
Yeah,
It,
well, I
it
mean,
was
it
like,
wasn't.
here's little Charlie and the Nightcats. Now it's Rick Estrin and the Nightcats. We
Yeah,
had no idea that there was
yeah,
a,
yeah. I think we made our first record under this name came out in about '09. But what happened? So I made this little do-it-yourself record under my name. Then we made like a little EP with the band, and we just sold that, at gigs and stuff. We did Bruce hooked us up with a booking agency, which was great. And then we did a tour where, it was a pretty grim tour. Nobody knew my name, but Bruce came out and saw us. And once he saw the band, then he agreed to sign us back up. So it was a pretty easy transition. I mean, he and I have had a relationship forever. So,
yeah.
um,
By the way, he nominated me for the KBA, just so you know that.
okay.
How's
Well, I'm
that?
sure I'm sure you deserve it.
Thank you.
I'm sure you do. I mean, absolutely. But
So let's go back to your early days. You grew up in San Francisco area,
yes.
correct?
Hmm.
And tell me about the blues scene. There were a lot of blues people, blues guys around
There was,
California.
and there really was, and people don't know that, but there was. I mean, just in the Bay Area, you had Jimmy McCracklin, you had Lowell Fulson was there a lot. There was just tons of people, and everybody would come through there and play too, and then there were local guys as well. So I got into trying to play just from hearing my sister's records and stuff, and I then once I thought I had, I stayed home and tried to copy, these records. She had a couple Jimmy Reed records, and I was, just that was a good entry to starting to learn how to play. And once I thought I was once I had a little bit of confidence, I started going out to clubs and trying to sit in. And I when I was 18, I had an well, I don't know if it was an opportunity. Lowell Fulson had a record on the radio that I really loved. And so I went out to this place where he was playing called the Club Long Island in Hearns Point in San Francisco. And and then I had had a couple cocktails, and the guy that went with me, he was kind of a big talker, and so he asked me if I felt like playing. Well, I was half in the bag, so I said, "Yeah, sure," And, you know, in hindsight, man, I was a kid. I didn't have no business
Yeah.
on that bandstand, but maybe I did because he worked it out. Lowell Fulson actually told the club owner, who said no, told the club owner, "Oh, let the boy come up and do his and actually this was like a real nightclub, like almost like a throwback to vaudeville days where they would have a a like a novelty act open up. They had this guy named that night they had this guy Iron Jaw Wilson who would pick up chairs and tables in his teeth, and well, the with the drum roll and everything, and he strut and he would, his act would culminate with him hold, like three chairs and a table all in his teeth, balancing that shit. And then and then there was a guy, Eugene Jefferson, that was a local soul singer that was singing the hits of the day and Knock on Wood and stuff like that. And then it was Star Time, Lowell Fulson. And Lowell Fulson waited till, they brought him up and he got on the mic, and they had an MC and everything. But when Lowell got on the mic, he said, "Hey, before I get into my show, I'd like to bring up this young fella." And and at that time, I mean, this was like 1968 or something, and people were just, I mean, already I was pretty noticeable in the club, because I'm like the only white guy in there, and and they people would, I got up and people started laughing, like they thought they were gonna see something funny. But then when I started playing, and back then I had more voice too, and started singing and stuff, and the whole place just went nuts, and they were laughing in a different way, and they were all clapping and just they couldn't believe it. So that was
The
that
beginning.
gave me that yeah, it was the beginning. That gave me confidence, and then after that, that night, Emmett Kennedy, who owned the club, um, hired me to open for ZZ Hill, like, I don't know what, 3 weeks or a month later or something. He hired me to open for ZZ Hill. So this was a 5 or 6 nights a week. It was a week long engagement, and yeah. So then when ZZ Hill came in, then instead of a guy balancing chairs and tables and gripping them in his teeth, I was the novelty act. So, and that was a big start for me because through that at that gig, I met a couple of the guys that were big time mentors to me. I met Fillmore Slim, who actually lived across the hall, and at that time he was a really famous as a pimp, but he was, and he still is actually, but he had a band, and I ended up playing with him. And there was another guy there, Roger Collins, who had, you know, was like a star to me at the time, man, because he had a big hit, and at the time I didn't know that records that didn't have really good national distribution. No, his record was number one in around the Bay Area, so I thought it was just a, a big, number one record. Period. It was number one in other pockets of the United States as well, like Philadelphia and New Orleans and a, a bunch of different places. But anyway, regardless, I'm getting sidetracked. He was there, and Roger Collins, man, he took me under his wing and taught me a lot of stuff, man, and took me around. He uh, tried to instill in me different principles of show business and different principles of writing, of how to write songs and everything, man. He was just you know
That's great.
he was a teacher, man. He was a teacher.
So let's
Yeah.
fast forward to Muddy Waters. You got a chance
Okay.
to audition, or you were gonna audition for
Yeah, I
Muddy.
thought I was auditioning. Yeah. Yeah. I when I so this was a couple years later, so I think I was about 20 years old, and I went to Chicago. Um, and because in San Francisco, I was in a record store one day, and I saw this guy looking through some blues albums, and I think I was still like 18 or whatever then, and I know I was, yeah, 18 or 19, and I asked the guy, I go, well, hey, you like that stuff too, huh? And it was Jerry Portnoy, and we were both just learning to play. Neither one of us knew much really, but I had a gig because after that thing at the Club Long Island, I started playing with Fillmore Slim, and we had a gig 5 nights a week at a place called the Playpen. So I invited Jerry to my gig. He came down to my gig, and we just started hanging out together and trying to, we were both trying to figure out how to play, and we sort of helped each other learn and inspired each other and stuff, a little friendly competition.
Yep.
And we were pals. So he was originally from Chicago, and his father got sick, and he had to go back to Chicago. So he was sending me postcards telling me, "Oh man, I sat in with the Aces. I played with Johnny Young. All stuff like that." And so my girlfriend ran out of a sense of humor and dumped me. So I got some other. This is not doesn't paint me in the best light, but I'm you know we we develop over time. So anyway, there was this other girl that liked me. I got her to buy me a plane ticket, and I went back to Chicago. And so then, it was just like, wow. I went first night I was there. We went to Teresa's, and it was just jam packed, man. And there was a house band with Sammy Lawhorn, Fred Belo, and Buddy Guy. That was the band. And I can't remember who the bass player was. I don't think it was Jack Myers, because I think I would have remembered that, but but I don't know who it was. But everybody was in there too, Junior and just full of musicians and full of people, and uh and Carrie Bell was in there, and at that time Carrie was in Muddy's band, and so I sat in Teresa's, and I got over pretty good, and Carrie told me that he was going to quit Muddy, and that if I wanted a gig, I should come down to the Sutherland Hotel, and that he would introduce me to Muddy, and if Muddy dug me, I could have the gig. So I was like, wow, I think that might have been my first night in town,
Wow.
and So I went down there, and this was they had a 4 o'clock license, so it was they Muddy was playing there Friday and Saturday. Willie Maybon was the opening act. So that was a nice nightclub in the Sutherland Hotel. I think it was like 47th and Drexel or something. It was a cool place. But uh, so they were open till 4 a.m. on Fridays, and Saturdays they were open till 5 a.m. So Kerry introduced me to Muddy. He said, okay, yeah, that, asked him if I could sit in. Said, this guy plays sounds good and blah blah blah. So Muddy said, okay, I'll call you up. So I waited all night, 4 a.m. And I go, wow. Hey, when they were, and I actually asked him, I go, gee, I thought you were going to call me up. He goes, oh yeah, I forgot. At, at at the time, for some reason, sometimes I'm pretty obtuse, man. At the I never thought of this till for years, but man, he knew what he was doing. He was trying to see how serious I was, right? So he told me, "Yeah, I forgot. Come back tomorrow." So I came back the next day, and then about the middle of halfway through the night, he called me up. I played long distance call with them. I got off the bandstand. They did maybe one more song, and they took a break. And I was over there. Jerry was with me, so I'm like, "Hey, what do you think? How they sound?" And we're standing there, and Muddy was sitting at a table with some women, and he kind of halfway stood up, and he like did like this, beckoned me over with his finger, and I walked over there, and when I got over by him, he started shaking his finger in my face, going, just said, "Boy, you out of sight, boy. So you play like a man, boy. So you got that sound. I know that sound when I hear it. That's my sound." And I was, needless to say, man, I was pretty. I don't think I was actually levitating, but
You were
it was
excited
pretty good.
about it.
It
Yep.
was pretty. That was pretty awesome. So, anyway, he asked me what was I doing, blah blah blah, and he told me don't leave town for at least 2 or 3 weeks. I can't remember what he said, but um, and because like I said, my girlfriend had dumped me, and this girl that had paid for my plane ticket, uh, I didn't really like her that much, so. We, it's just embarrassing to say now, but I was a kid, man.
Hmm.
So anyway, after I waited and waited, and he didn't call, and he had given me his phone number, and I didn't have the balls to call it, I guess. But I waited and waited, and then after a couple of weeks, I knew this. I knew Bruce Iglauer. I had met him because he lived a block or two away from Jerry, and um, this was before he Alligator Records or anything. He worked at the Jazz Record Mart, and but he was going to be Carrie Bell's manager,
That was Delmark
and
back
he
then,
was
right? That was Delmark Jazz
yeah
Record.
he was he
Yep.
yeah he worked at the Jazz Record Mart. Well, that was a record store, but Delmark was operated out of that record store
Yep.
too,
Yep.
and but Bruce was going to be Carrie's manager, and he was the one that was trying to organize this tour.
Yep.
And so I called him, and I said, "Man, is Carrie going to quit or what? Because I'm thinking about going back to California." And he said, "Oh yeah, the tour's not coming together, and Carrie's going to probably stick around." So I went back to California. Kerry didn't quit right then, but he quit pretty soon after that. And um, the next time I saw those guys, I think Jerry was with them. He got in the gig. That was a couple years later, and and I can remember Fuzz, Calvin Jones when I went to see them, he goes, man, what happened, man? You were supposed to be with us, you know. But that's hey, that's life. It
Wow,
worked out. It worked out just fine for both of us. Um, and and then yeah, pretty soon after that, I went back and moved back to Chicago, and I actually stayed there for years. And then I came back here, and then I went back there, and I was back and forth for. Came back to California around the end of. I came back here for good.
that's good. So let's talk about the new record. The hits keep coming.
Yeah.
Do they?
Well, it's oh yes, in the sense that I'm referring to in the song. Absolutely, it's not about hit records.
Yep.
It's about one thing after another, man. So yeah, they keep coming. Seemingly,
Well, the thing that
there's
I
always some.
the thing I noticed about your records is the fun songs that you have, like "Dump That Chump" and all those great
Mhm.
songs that you write.
Yeah,
What made you
right.
decide? What makes you decide to do that? To write songs like that?
well, actually, the hits keep coming. That ain't a song. That ain't funny at all, and it ain't fun. You know, and I write songs like that too. But to write funny songs or humorous songs that have maybe a point, but there's a humorous
Right.
twist to them.
Yep.
Um, it's just the way I write. I mean, I was a fan of the Coasters when I was a kid, and Lieber and Stoller, Jerry Lieber's writing, and also Mose Allison's writing, um, and so I like irony, and yeah, I
Well,
just
those are the songs
and
that the
and
listeners ask for. All of those
well,
great songs.
okay, well, and the other thing is, yeah, it's just that I'm just myself, so I got to take what I'm given, and that's just how I think,
Well, you
you
can
know.
tell you have a lot of fun writing and playing.
I do have a lot of fun, and I'm grateful for the the life it's given me, man, and I'm still doing it. It's pretty incredible. I was actually talking to Jerry Portnoy this morning and talking about that, man. How long I've been able to keep doing this stuff, and I still feel good, and I got the best band. I mean, just the greatest band and the most focused killer band, man. And
Yeah.
we just have a good time together, and there's no interpersonal little underlying BS. It's just we just have a good time, and we go out there and try to. We're gonna get them.
So how'd you get Kid Andersen in the band?
Well, that little do-it-yourself record that I referred to that I made
Yep.
between Little Charlie and the new the new name of the band. uh, Kid Andersen was just starting out to be a engineer. He just started, and we recorded that at his where he lived then, and that was that. I don't know how many records he had done before that, and then I did a record, like a harmonica compilation record. I know he recorded that, but pretty soon after that, we did this record and called what the hell's the name of it? On the harp side, and yeah, so and we had known each other, you know, and I liked him, and I think he liked me, and it was just a natural thing. So we made that record, and then we were friends. We became better friends, and his wife actually took some of the pictures, took the pictures for that, his then wife, not the wife he has now, took the pictures for that album and also the pictures for the instructional DVD. And so anyway, we were friends. One day he called me about uh, something entirely unrelated, and I was freaking out because little Charlie was going to quit, and I just found out. And at the time, I didn't know what I was going to do because Jay and Lorenzo wanted to keep it going, and I didn't want to have a diminished version of Little Charlie and the Nightcaps, and
Hmm.
I really didn't know what to do. And I was thinking I'd just become like a low budget version of Chuck Berry or something, just go around with and
That
play
didn't
with
that
different
didn't
bands.
happen. That didn't happen at
No,
all.
no, because what happened was at the time I thought Kid was with Charlie Musselwhite, but he had left that band. And so when we were talking on the phone and I told him what happened, and he told me that he was no longer with Charlie, I was like, because he had tried to, I think, start a band with John Nemeth and it didn't work out. So then, yeah, so I asked him if he wanted to try it, and he said, yeah. So,
That's
and
good.
that's been since that's been pretty good. What's that?
2009, right?
15,
You said,
2008,
yeah, 8. Yep.
2008. Yeah. 2009, we put out the first Alligator record, but 2008 was when we first got together to as a band.
Wow. So you got some gigs coming up.
And I always knew that he was one that really stepped in there and just done it, man. Because he just plays with so much authority and so much. And I can remember times when he says, and little Charlie was a pretty intimidating guitar player to other guitar players. I mean, I've seen guys just, I've seen guys have fun with him. I've seen other guys sit in and just fall apart, man. And Kid just, he's
He's alpha, as I call him.
he's a musician, and he's got a quality,
Yep.
that just shines through. He's got confidence.
Yep. So you got some gigs coming up this week. You're
Yes,
going to
we
be
do. Yep. We're
playing
starting
the
in.
Bull Run
I
on
think
Thursday. Bull Run in Shirley, Mass.
next night we're I think at the Iridium in New York. And then the following,
You're at
right? I
Chan's
think
on
we're
Saturday.
at we're at Chan's. Okay, Chan's on Saturday, and then we're in Cape Cod, I think,
Yep. The music room. And
on
then Jimmy's
I
Jazz on
believe
the 4th.
Sunday, and then I think right.
Yep. Jimmy's Jazz and Blues.
Yeah, so those are all great places.
See that? You
They're
get you get to come to
great
town to some of the
rooms.
best
They really
places.
are. Yeah, they really are the great. All of those are just we love them, man. Jimmy's. We only been there once, but that place is great, and all the other places we've been to multiple times, and they're yeah, we love it, man.
Yeah, you
We love it,
John
and then
Chan, you met
two. This has sort of been a recent. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, John Chan, you know him from
Go
he's
ahead.
been around forever.
Oh, we've been yeah we've been playing chants for forever. Some of these other places are, I think this will be our third or fourth time at Bull Run. This will be, I don't know, maybe only our second time at the Music Room, and our second time at Jimmy's. Um, but yeah, I love the East Coast, man. I love
Yeah,
the Northeast, and it's great. for us the last couple of years because we fly out in some club dates on the East Coast because we have a guy Tom Hazelton that helps us out there. So we leave equipment with him. That way, close on the East Coast, and then on the East Coast we're flying to Switzerland. So it's we can make works out nicely.
Tom's a good
Works
guy.
out perfectly, just and
He's a great
everything.
photographer too. Tom is.
He's a photographer and he's a great guy, man.
Great guy. Yep.
He's a great Juana. She's great too.
Well, Rick.
They're the best, man.
Well, Rick, I don't want to take any more of your time. I know you're a busy guy. I just want to say thank you.
That's the thing about this music.
Go ahead.
You, John, thank you for all you do and all you've been doing. Thank you, man.
And I'll continue to do it as long as I can. How's that? Like you.
Okay, it's the deal. I'll do the same thing, all right?
All right. Thank you again.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
You too. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.